Hello, I'm Robin Vogels. I'm the owner of Personnel Relocations and the co-author of the book Your DIY Move on both our Facebook pages. So that is the Personnel Relocations Facebook page and Your DIY Move Guide to Australia. So thank you for giving up some of your time on a Saturday to join me. I haven't been doing these live shows for very long. And those of you that have watched them before will know that it's not a big budget production. It is just me sharing valuable information and pushing all the buttons. So do hang around. I will be giving away some giveaways at the end of the show. Not that I'm trying to bribe you, because really you should be watching this to learn how to behave in Australia. But we all do love a freebie, and I've got a great one this evening, so I hope you hang around. It is Saturday night, 8 p.m, and I am in Melbourne. I'd love to hear where you are, so if you're watching this right now, do let me know where you are. For those of you that think Australia is always a lovely warm place to live, I can tell you it is freezing tonight. I don't think the temperature today has gone over 12 degrees. So I am a little bit rugged up, but here we are. While we're waiting for some others to join us, I thought we'd have a quick laugh at some of the laws that have been introduced years ago and are actually still in existence today. You can take these with a pinch of salt. Our police are usually quite reasonable in these circumstances, not like some of the other laws that I'll be talking about a little bit later. So I thought we'd just have a little bit of fun while we're waiting for more people to join us. So did you know that in Victoria, I've actually got three quirky ones from Victoria. The first one, singing an obscene song or ballad in a public place can attract a fine of $1,500. It is illegal to correspond or do business with pirates in Victoria, and the maximum penalty is 10 years in jail. Also in Victoria, it is unreasonable to make noise with a vacuum cleaner after 10 p.m. or 7 a.m. on weekdays or 9 a.m. on weekends. This is part of the residential noise regulations, and I can also tell you that that is applicable to any construction that might be going on next door to you. They may not operate any machinery that you can hear inside your house, even if you have the window open or closed. It's irrelevant. From my own experience, I can tell you that does not stop construction workers from shouting across the site or putting their radio really, really loud. But they are not allowed to operate any machinery during that time. In Western Australia, it is an offence to be in possession of more than 50 kilograms of potatoes. Yes, that's still a law in Western Australia. The law came about when food was scarce and the government was handing out potatoes and rice. And that's still a law that's in place today. You may not be in possession of more than 50 kilograms of potatoes unless you are a grower or retailer and you're authorised by the Potato Corporation. In Western Australia, challenging another person to a duel is punishable by a $6,000 fine or 2 years in jail. South Australia, I quite like this one. South Australia, obstructing or disturbing a wedding, a funeral, or a religious service is an offence that carries a maximum of $10,000 or 2 years in jail. Also in South Australia, it is an offence to sell a fridge with a capacity of 42.5 litres or more, unless the doors can be opened from the inside. And this law apparently came into place because children would get stuck inside fridges. So your fridge must be able to open from the inside. In South Australia, you can be fined $250 if you ring the doorbell of a house without reasonable excuse. And finally, in New South Wales, up in Sydney, drivers can be fined up to $2,200 for not taking enough care to avoid splashing mud on any passengers who are waiting for a bus. Now, I know a lot of people will get joy out of that, but in New South Wales, if you're in Sydney, don't splash people, you will get into trouble. So there we have some of the quirky laws, and for the most part, our police are reasonable. And if you just don't argue and you move off, you'll be okay. But other laws that I'm going to chat to you about today are a lot more serious. For those of you that have joined us, we've got a couple more that have joined us. I'm Robin Vogels. I'm from Personnel Relocations, As I said earlier, Facebook is quite new to me, or the Facebook Live is quite new to me, but I am trying to reach out to people and share knowledge. So if you think there's somebody out there that should be watching this right now, do tag them in the comments, and let's try and get as many people watching as possible. Nobody wants to waste money on parking fines, speeding fines, or anything else. So I really want to just run through some of the laws, fines, and rules that we have in Australia so that you don't get caught out. I am live across Your Move Guide and Personnel Relocations. So there might be a slight delay in me seeing your comments on Your Move Guide. I will apologize in advance. I am trying to keep a watch on everything. So if you are online, do let me know where you're from. It's nice to see people from around the world, and I know we had a few people from France, South Africa, and I think there was Italians that were interested in joining tonight. So if you're out there, I'd love to hear where you're from, and yeah, just jot it down in the comments and let me know where you are. Today I'm talking about the laws and the rules in Australia, and particularly those laws that I see new arrivals getting into trouble with soon after they land. Please learn from their mistakes. Having a $400 fine is not a great welcoming present, and nobody wants to waste any money. Before I start though, please know that the law varies in each state and territory across Australia. So you need to check your local laws in your state or even your council. When you move into a new area, spend some time reading your local council website, because each council can have different laws about traffic, about renting laws, and even pets. So if you're bringing a pet to Australia, for example, you must register the pet at your local council, but also check with the council if there's cat curfews, or perhaps there's not even cats allowed in the area. This might surprise you, but it can if the residential area backs onto perhaps a bird wetlands or a similar ecosystem. They won't allow cats in the area. If you have dogs, there definitely are rules about dogs barking, times they might be allowed on the beaches, or even total bans of some breeds. You may only be allowed 1 or 2 dogs on your premises as well. Certainly closer to the cities, they don't allow more than 2 dogs on your property. So please take some time to know your local laws. As I said, every state and territory has different laws, and I think I'd probably be here all night if I had to try and go through them all. But let me just check and see if anybody's given me any questions. It looks pretty quiet out there. I think we're good, and then I'll jump straight into it. I hope this is going out on Your Move Guide, because I'm not seeing it on the page at the moment. So perhaps there's a slight delay for Your Move Guide, and I apologize. Or maybe it's just my my screen being a little bit slower. Okay, let's crack on. Right. So what do most new arrivals get stung with? Well, speeding. And this has to be top of my list because it happens time and time again. On most of the freeways, highways and motorways, the speed limit here is 100 kilometers an hour. But this is not where most people are being caught. Most are being caught in and around town. Coming down a hill and not quite concentrating on your speed results in the blue flashing lights behind you. You should also know that we have school speed zones. So in built-up areas, the school zone will come into force during school drop-off and pick-up times, where the speed will reduce from 60 kilometers to just 40 kilometers. So let me give you some perspective. If you're singing along in the car and you don't notice the time has just clicked over to 2:30 and you're doing 62 kilometers an hour in what is now a 40 kilometer zone, you're already 22 kilometers over the speed limit. Your 62 kilometers will be a $330 fine and 3 points off your license. Okay, if you're doing 66 in a 40 zone, your fine will be $454 and you will lose your license for 3 months. Yep, you will lose your license. If you're more than 25 kilometers over the speed limit, you will lose your license. So watch the school zones, watch your speed. I know when I lived in England, the speed cameras are highlighted to drivers. They have a large sort of chevron on them, but this isn't the case in Australia. Speed cameras can be fixed, for example, at red traffic lights, or they can be hidden in unmarked cars that are just sitting on the side of the road with the camera either at the front or the rear of the car. We do have unmarked cars that will take your speed and you will get a fine for it. And the red traffic lights, don't risk it. Across Australia, you will lose 3 points off your license and the fine is around $400. If the lights turn orange and it's safe to stop, you must stop. Still on the road, do not touch your phone. Not when you're driving, not when you stopped at a traffic light, or even if you're in the McDonald's drive-through. If your engine is running, don't touch your phone. In fact, no part of your body must touch your phone, so you can't just leave it lying in your lap while you're on speaker. The phone must be in a commercial hands-free device and should be voice activated. You should not have to touch the phone to dial a number or get a map or get your navigation running. If your engine is running, don't touch the phone. In New South Wales, so up in Sydney, you'll be 5 demerit points and $337 fine. Victoria is $484 fine and 4 points. And just to say on those points, you actually start with your license here having 12 points. So to lose 4 of them is quite a hit. And Queensland, you will have a $391 fine and 3 demerit points. Before I finish on roads and speeds, let me give you this little warning too. On most public holidays and long weekends such as Easter and New Year, most states and territories introduce double demerit points. Yep. So if you caught on your phone in Sydney during a double demerit point, you will lose 8 points off your license. You only have 12. So while you're on the roads, remember school zones, watch the time, watch your speed. Don't touch your phone. And remember that public holidays are double demerit points. Okay. For the month of April, I will be running. There's so many different laws and so many things I wanted to share with you, but over the next month, I will be sharing everything on our social media pages. So do follow Personnel Relocations and your DIY Move Guide. And one of the things that I will be discussing is the process, if you like, for a fine. If you choose to ignore a fine and see if you've got away with it, what happens. Also how it works if you're on a toll road and you don't pay for your toll travel, you will receive a fine. And if you don't pay the fine, it will escalate. I'll also be discussing hoon laws. If you're not sure what a hoon law is, keep up with us on the socials and I will explain what a hoon law is and how it can result in your car being impounded and crushed. So that's one to look out for. Let me have a quick look here and see if there's any questions while I have a breather. I think we're all good. There we go. Carlo, you're in Australia, mate. You need to know that all these rules. Delisha from Cape Town, relocating in July. Good luck, Delisha. I hope you've got those flights booked and ready to go. Thanks for joining us. All right, let's move on to something else. Smoking. Now you might think, okay, this might be a boring one, but we actually have really strict smoking laws here. First of all, smoking is particularly expensive in Australia. So if there was ever a time to quit, do it when you move. And I know what you're saying, it's too stressful a time, but trust me, new habits here, new environment, and if smoking is never part of that new habit, you might not miss it as much. First to note in smoking is that advertising is not allowed and all cigarettes are in plain packaging. They're not allowed to be on display. So they're usually behind the shopping counter and behind closed doors. You will need to know which brand you smoke because there's nothing to tell you what's behind those doors. In all states and territories, it is illegal to smoke in enclosed public places. Okay, so that includes public transport. You cannot smoke on a train, plane or bus. No office buildings, no shopping centres, no schools, no cinemas. You may also not smoke in these outdoor areas. You may not smoke within 10 metres of children's play equipment. And that includes if you are watching children play sport. So if you're standing around a soccer pitch, footy, netball, you may not smoke within 10 meters of the game. No smoking around public swimming pools. This is outdoor pools as well. Spectator areas of sports grounds. So if you're at a sports ground watching, you're at the MCG watching the cricket, you may not smoke. Public transport platforms, stops, including ferry wharfs and taxi ranks, no smoking. No smoking within 4 meters of a pedestrian access point to a public building. Okay, so you can't stand within 4 meters of a shopping center or a library or any public area and smoke. And any commercial outdoor dining areas. Now, I know a lot of my French clients don't like this one because they do like to sit outside and enjoy their coffee and a cigarette. You're not allowed. It is also illegal to smoke in a car when a child is traveling with you. A child or minor is somebody under the age of 16, depends which state and territory you are in, but usually 16 to 18 is considered a minor. It's also illegal to sell cigarettes to anyone under the age of 18. There are strict limits on the amount of tobacco you can import, so don't go stash them in your container. Any questions on smoking? Let me have a quick look. Okay. If you have any, sorry, my voice is going. If you have any questions, just put them in the comments. And like I said earlier, let me know where you're watching from. I always like to see where in the world everybody is from. I know there were people interested from all over Europe and a few from South Africa. So I'd love to hear from you. And if you've got any questions, just do let me know. For those who have just joined me, I'm Robin from Personnel Relocations, and I'm just going through some of the rules and laws that people often get caught up with when they first arrive in Australia. So thank you for joining me. It's Saturday night, just past 8 o'clock, and it's freezing in Melbourne. But I hope you've got something warm. Hello, Michelle in the UK. Whereabouts in the UK are you? I love the UK. And it's probably just warming up. I'm jealous. All the pretty flowers that come out in spring. All right, let's move on to alcohol. Michelle, I'll see where you're from shortly. Hopefully it's somewhere pretty. I'm sure it is. Okay, drinking alcohol. Now, this is a very wide topic again, so please watch out on our social media for any more tips on this. With most other countries, as with most other countries, Australia does have strict laws. So the legal drinking age is 18. You have to be 18 to buy or drink alcohol, even in a venue. It is illegal to sell alcohol to anyone under the age of 18. All packaged alcohol has to show how many standard drinks it contains. And you are breaking the law if you drink and drive and your blood alcohol concentrate is equal or more than 0.05. I'll explain that a little bit more. But just also to say, if you're on a learner's or a provisional license, you need to have 0 alcohol in your system. Okay, so how do you measure? How many drinks does that equate to 0.05? Well, this can depend on your size and how quickly you metabolize the drinks, but other factors, and typically standard drinks, don't just equate to 2 glasses of wine or 2 cans of Jack Daniels, because they have very different levels of alcohol in them. So this month we will be publishing, we're busy working on it at the moment, but we're publishing a table of standard drink sizes. So have a look out for that on our social media. And of course in the book, Your DIY Move Guide, we've analysed this over a few pages with some examples. So do get hold of the book if you tend to drink and drive. You may not drink in any public places. So you cannot drink on the beach, you cannot drink on the parks or any civil area. So that pretty much puts out the whole CBD. 365 days a year, you may not drink in public. Okay, police will confiscate your drink, and if you're drunk and disorderly in public, you will be arrested and charged. What I was saying just now about being 18 to buy alcohol, don't think that you might get away with it. And I'll tell you, I can assure you, even a nightclub, for example, if they had to serve alcohol to an under 18-year-old, they will be fined up to $10,000 or upward of $10,000. So they're not going to let you off. And to give you an example, I was in a bottle store one day and I asked my son, who was luckily 18 at the time, to help me carry a bottle of wine. And when we got to the counter, he put the bottle down and he was promptly asked for his ID because it looked as if he was buying the alcohol. He had carried it to the counter, he had put it down, so he was asked to produce his ID. Even though I was with him as his mother, they did ask him. So you won't get away with it. They do enforce the law here because they will get into more trouble than what you will. And lastly, don't drink and drive. Use public transport, taxis or Ubers. Fines for drink driving start at $480. While I'm reminding you of the key takeaway messages today, please go ahead and ask any questions and I'll come to those next. You can also email me at any time if you've got any concerns. At the end, don't forget I will have details on what you can win. I've got a nice freebie planned for you for tonight. There's just one more law I wanted to bring to your attention, and this often happens with new arrivals, and that is that it is illegal in Australia for you to change your own plugs. You can change a light bulb, but there's very few electrical jobs around the house that you can do. You have to have a licensed electrician to change plugs and do other DIY jobs around the house. So be warned, because if you do change your own plugs, so for example, you're coming from South Africa or England or wherever it might be, and you need to change all your plugs, and you do something wrong, okay, that's not going to be under your insurance, it'll be under the landlord's insurance, and if he finds that you're responsible for changing a plug that's burnt his house down, that's going to be a pretty big weight on your shoulders. So when you're moving, make sure you've booked an electrician to come and change plugs or do any other minor work that you might need around the house for electricals. Key takeaways today: watch your speed, don't touch your phone, don't smoke or drink in public places, and familiarize yourself with your local council and state laws. Next month, I hope you join me again, and I'm super excited because I've got a lady by the name of Helen Ellis who will be joining me, and Helen is an author. She's writing books about distance grandparenting, distance grandchildren, and distant children. So it's a series of 3 books. And what I'm excited about is Helen's going to go through some of the techniques that you can do even before you leave to help grandparents, children, and yourselves, the 3 generations, if you like, on coping and keeping in contact with each other. And it's actually a fascinating subject. I was talking to Helen the other day, and the amount of information and the things that she's made me realize. I mean, I left my home country 27 years ago, and she's made me realize some of those feelings that I didn't even know I was feeling. So do join me next month. It will be close to Mother's Day in Australia, so I think it's a great topic. And if you found today's video helpful, please share with others who are on a migration journey so we can all help each other. It's a stressful time, and finding trustworthy information can be so hard. So if you see someone on social media with questions, please tell them about us. If I know people are enjoying what I'm sharing, I'll happily give it more Saturday evenings to help you. Do subscribe and keep up to date with our special offer, our tips and our updates. You can find us at www.personnelrelocations.com.au and www.yourmoveguide.com.au. Our book is available on Amazon in 9 different countries, so do have a look for it. It's a great book and certainly covers more than I could cover even in an hour's consultation. So the giveaway for today, don't see any more questions, so I'm going to carry on through here. Today's giveaway was actually inspired by a lady that I helped this week. She had arrived from New Zealand. It was actually a mutual friend who gave me a ring and said, this lady has looked at 13 rental properties. She needs to be out of her Airbnb by the 19th of April. She's got 3 children with her. She's looked at all these rental properties and she keeps getting declined. That immediately tells me there's something wrong with her application. So I gave the lady a call. She was here with 3 children. Her husband was still in New Zealand. He hadn't moved across yet. And just through a few simple questions, I was able to establish that there were major errors on her rental application. Now, estate agents have got 10, 15 applications on each property. They're not going to phone you and say, well, could you give me this or could you give me that? They're just going to put your application to the bottom of the pile. So today's freebie, I'm actually doing two things. I'm still keeping my consultations at half price. So if you would like a 1-hour consultation with me, you can book it online. Look for the consultations tab and just fill in the information, and I will book a 1-hour consultation with you, no problem. But the other thing I'm giving away today is a free how to complete your rental application pack. And what I'd like to do is those people that are online at the moment, give me a thumbs up. You will automatically go into the draw. And anybody else who watches this, say, let's say for the next 24 hours and gives me a thumbs up, I will send you a rental application as well. So actually, I'll probably need your email address to send that to you. So if you wouldn't mind, if you've seen this video between the 10th and the 11th of April, until 8 p.m. Melbourne time, that's a 24-hour period, and you email me info@personnelrelocations.com.au, I will send you the information on how to complete a rental application before you arrive. And as always, I will also keep my consultations at half price. So do jump onto the consultations section of our website and feel free to complete the information. I think that's all for tonight. Thank you once again for watching. Thank you for sharing, and I hope you've learned something. I'm Robin Vogels, and it's been my pleasure to spend this time with you tonight. Have a good evening, everybody. Or maybe it's a good day. But whichever it is, have a good one. Bye-bye, everyone.